Welcome, my name is Elizabeth Harper and my website is sealedwithlove.com. I have been invited by Bridget from biddytarot.com to share some insights on tarot, how I read the tarot, how I started with tarot, and maybe a little bit about the color symbolism within tarot and how that helps me to decipher the information that's coming from a particular reading. So I'm going to start first with just sharing with you my experience of the tarot and reading tarot cards. I got my first deck when I was 11 years old. My mother, bless her, was very what is the word? She was psychic, so she was already in tune with the psychic and intuitive vibrations, but she was kind of forward thinking. And for me, she was also a yoga teacher. She was one of the pioneers of yoga in Britain during the 50s, 60s, 70s, when it was really at its advent. So I had a wonderful upbringing from that perspective. I had somebody who was like a best friend and a soulmate who understood when I was seeing energies, seeing colors, seeing spirits, etc. And so it kind of was a natural thing to get some tarot cards. She bought me my first deck of tarot cards when I was 11 years old. And I still have that deck of tarot cards. And of course, they're the Rider-Waite deck. And at that time, I'm sure there were many other tarot decks available, but this was sort of the staple tarot deck, the Rider-Waite deck. And at that age, 11 years old, I wrote on them. So I wrote on the top of the card and the bottom of the card for if it was a reversed or if it was upright. And I just wrote one word to give me an idea, just to trigger any ideas that might come to me. So just one thing with tarot cards, they are big cards quite often. I have many different huge decks. This is another huge deck. I always shuffle my cards from top to bottom instead of from side to side. I find side to side doesn't work for me particularly, and it's not that I have small hands, but I find it much easier to work with the cards this way. And I like to shuffle my cards just to shift the energy as well. It's like clapping. When you clap as an audience, when you're going to listen to a speaker or see someone on a stage, when you clap, you are shifting the energy in that room and it's cleansing the energy. And I feel that when you shuffle the cards, you're doing the same thing. And you're also working with your hand chakras, your hand energy, and that hand energy comes from your heart, and you're linking with whatever it is that you are asking, whatever your intention is in your heart, into those cards. They're really just a tool, a method to connect with your own knowledge, with your own wisdom. So this was my first tarot deck, and I didn't buy any tarot decks until I was in my 30s. I met someone who had gobs of tarot decks, lots of them, and so I thought, great, I'll buy lots as well. And I must have had about 50 different tarot decks, and I left them all behind in England, and then I bought more when I came to the United States. This is my favorite tarot deck. This is the Voyager deck, and one of the reasons I like this particular deck is because it's visual. I have other decks that you may well have as well. This one is very popular. It's the Thoth deck, but it has some gruesome images in this particular deck. And I think that when you're reading this, sometimes you probably have to know what the meanings of the cards are to give you a little bit more of a wider perspective. Whereas with this deck, which is more intuitive, to me it's more intuitive, it has a collage of images on each of the cards, and as a consequence of that, you're not necessarily focused on what the card means. You are connecting more with an image that most draws your attention, and I like that. So let's just take a card here for the moment, and with an intention of what do we need to know now? What do we need to know at this moment? And I'd like you to look at the card and then see what image most attracts you at this moment, and then ask yourself, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean for me, if that makes it any easier? And then see what comes up. So take a look at this card, see which image you are most attracted to, and it could be a color that you're most attracted to. I tend to be attracted to colors, you may be different. Or if there is just an energy of something that is drawing your attention to a particular area of that card, where are you drawn to? And then again, ask yourself, what does that mean for me? And then see what comes to you. So this is the Four of Worlds. The Four of Worlds is the Four of Pentacles. You probably worked that out already, right? So it says commencement here. When I look at this particular card, I am looking at, there's so many different images, but I am particularly looking at the planets here and the color of the planets, and it looks like Jupiter, and this green piece of what looks like aloe that's coming up here. So even though the card is called commencement and it's the Four of Pentacles, and that kind of starting work and gathering things up energy, I feel with this, because I'm looking at the planets and I'm looking at that green, that there's some connection with abundance for me. It feels like there's some connection with abundance and growth, and with healing as well with the aloe. And because of that green, it's linking with the heart chakra as well. If you know about the chakras, green is the heart energy. So I feel as if with that beige of the planet, beige is a little bit, it's not that it's a boring color, but it's almost like it may be a little bit bland. So it's like a board that is waiting for something to be posted on it. And with the green there, it's like maybe the growth of an idea. And then that idea will then go onto that planetary kind of color. It'll go onto the board. And then that idea can flourish. So that's what I see in that particular card. I wonder what you see. So when you've worked out what that is, do leave a comment below and let me know what you see in that card, what came up for you. Another deck that I use is from Orosoma, and Orosoma is specifically colour. And they have a tarot deck as well, and I've never gotten on with that particular tarot deck. I think that we resonate with certain decks at certain times of our lives. This one isn't a tarot deck, but the Orosoma company relate the bottles, the whole range of bottles, to the tarot, and to an extended tarot as well, because they have 107, 108 bottles. But what I'd like you to do is just see if you can get a sense of what that particular card means. So when you look at it, with your experience and your knowledge of colour, what do you think that card means, the yellow and the red? So think of it from the perspective of your chakras, and then what red and yellow might mean. Think of it from a perspective of nature, and what is red and yellow in nature. And then think of it from the perspective of what you enjoy to wear. What do you like to wear? Do you like to wear yellow? Do you like to wear red? If so, what does that mean to you when you wear those colors? So this particular card in Orosoma is the Hierophant. So it's the number 5 card. So you can relate the Hierophant's qualities with this energy. Yellow is a color of the sun, It's the color of your solar plexus. It's the color of power. When you wear yellow, everybody sees you. You are completely visible. If you're in a yellow car, people always spot yellow cars. You don't necessarily see a black car, but a yellow car you definitely see. The red is kind of go fast. It's moving quickly. There can be some anger in that red. Same with fear. Yellow, there can be fear in that yellow. So red can be a very passionate color. When you bring this red and yellow together, it makes orange. So with the orange, there's a sexual energy, there's a sensual energy, there's a creative energy as well. So then we have all the chakras on the physical level. We have the root chakra and the sacral and the solar plexus, and they are all physical energies. So then we think of the Hierophant. So this is very much about establishing our roots and rooting into the ground, establishing something that is traditional. Our career is in the red. Our manifestation abilities, our family, the food we put on the table. The orange that would come in between there is the fun that we have, our creative pursuits, how we learn to be emotional in this lifetime, how we learn to connect to people and relationships, and how we learn to have fun with those relationships as well. And then the yellow is that competitive energy and our self-esteem, our confidence, how we are seen by others, and how, again, we connect to others, but on a more powerful level. So when we move up from this, we go into the heart, which is more of a balancing place. So these are very physical energies. So the Hierophant then would have that kind of light, a physicality about it, and about establishing your physical presence on the earth. So when you look at a card like the Hierophant or any card, look at the colors in that card and see how they relate to nature, how they relate to the chakras, how they relate to you in your life and your likes and dislikes, how they relate to your food, and what tastes come up from that food, such as if you see something that is kind of brown colored, would that relate to curry maybe? Would it be spicy and hot? That kind of thing. It's just trying to find what the interpretation is for that particular card through the energy of color. So hopefully that makes sense. The chakras, if you don't know about the chakras, you can read up about them. The red is the root chakra, it's linking you into the earth. Violet is the crown chakra, and it's connecting you to the heavens. And they're the colors of the rainbow. But one thing you may not be aware of is that the chakras move in years. They move in time. So the root chakra, that red energy, is 0 to 7 years old. So you can get an idea then of what that red energy means, what the root chakra means when it's 0 to 7 years old on the planet, on the earth. Because you can think about what's happening to you at that time. You're learning to walk, you're learning to talk, you're learning to connect, and you're learning to play. And so then the sacral center is again 7 to 14. The solar plexus is 14 to 21. So you're kind of getting a pattern of energy, and this again comes up in the colors that you read in the tarot cards. You can link it to those times as well. So with the one card, you're looking at the one image and the one color, but then it becomes a little bit more of a story when you're connecting more cards together. So we're going to look at that now. And we'll do a reading with 3 cards. So let's say that reading is about an issue, an action, and an outcome. I like that particular 3-card spread. Issue, action, outcome. So let's say the issue is world peace. And so then that's what we're going to be focusing on. World peace. What is the action we need to take, and what will be the outcome of that action? And we'll take 3 cards and see what comes up with our interpretation through color. Okay, so we have our deck of cards. I'm going to just spread them out, and then I'm going to focus on world peace. So when are we going to have world peace? So the issue is, I feel like this is the card that wants to come out for the issue. This is the action. Now the outcome, maybe I just want to move my hand over the cards and see if there's a particular card that really feels like it's hitting my hand. So let me just see. I feel like there's more energy over this side, so I'm going to go for this one. That's what it feels like at the moment. So I'm going to take those cards out, and then I'm going to take a look at these cards. Now, I'm not going to read these, the reverse of them. I'm just going to look at the three cards and how that, how the energy resonates from the color perspective, what colors are moving through those cards. What you can do to begin with, if you want to, is this is the action, this is the question, this is the action, and this is the outcome. So what you can do is you can put your hands over the cards and just get a feeling of what colors are there. So when I feel this one feels really hot. That is the issue. When I feel this one feels much colder, and that's the action. And then the outcome, it feels really expansive. So there's different energies that are moving through here. So the issue with that world peace and how we're going to get to world peace, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of passion that's behind it. When I put my hand over the action, it's almost like we need to be more logical. We need to be more kind of focused on action rather than reaction. And then the outcome is expansion. There's a sense of expansion with that. So it doesn't matter what the cards say physically when we turn them over, that is the sense of the energy that's coming through as I'm feeling them. When you feel cards, you can rub your hands together and then shake your hands off, and then put your hand, whichever hand feels like your receiving hand, put your hand over those cards and feel the energy, see what comes to you. So let's turn these cards over and see what we get. So the first card is Inventor, so Man of Crystals. The second card is Disappointment, interesting. And then the third card is Hanged Man, interesting. So when we look at those cards, it would look like all is lost, wouldn't it? But then when we start looking at the colors, so for me, when I focus on the Man of Crystals, I'm actually seeing, what are you seeing? I'm seeing these crystals here. I'm seeing that violet crystal that's right there. And that violet crystal is like an amethyst. An amethyst is a stone of change. It's a stone of cleansing. So it's like with world peace, we see there's a lot going on here. And this is communication. And there's all kinds of stuff that's happening in this particular card. But it's what are you drawn to? So I'm drawn to the violet here. I'm drawn to the blue building that's here. So there's communication in that blue. The violet is the crown chakra, maybe everybody connecting together. And then I'm seeing this satellite that's right here. And it's blue and it's opening up and it's the 4 directions. So, with world peace and the question, that is connecting. It is connecting all the 4 corners of the earth. So then the action is, when you look at these glass pieces here, they're all broken. And it's almost like stuff has been trying to make this happen for a long time and nothing has worked. But what I see with this is, I'm looking at the reflection in here and the brown that's here. And I feel almost with that brown that's there, it's moving away from the darkness and it's getting more into this place of light, orange. It's creativity. So it's like we need to have a creative plan. We need to look at this from the perspective of a child, maybe that age of 7 to 14 when we're learning something new. I feel as well with this that there's golden energy in it. So the action is very much about using our wisdom. And with that golden energy, it's maybe linking to people's own wisdom, but also linking to their desire to be connected through that gold, through a divine belief, a system, a divine belief. So then when we come to the final card, when you look at this card, what do you see? What's the outcome? I see this head in the hands of this person. And it's like the outcome, there is somebody that is going to be gentle, holding the pain. And I see this beautiful, it's like a heart, and the hands are pink. And then there's a mirror reflection, and this person is actually looking in a mirror. And so even though this says the hangman, and often with the hangman, it's about seeing things from a different perspective, but I see this as a reflection. So we are looking at ourselves. The pink is love. The blue in there is communication in that particular mirror. So there's communication, it's communicating with ourselves. And I see this little light right there that is the same as that communication satellite right there. So there's a sense of something is lightening up, and it's gold. And that gold links with this energy here. So when we connect the dots, there is violet. I notice violet and blue, gold, and then more gold, pink and blue here. So this is change, this is wisdom, love, communication. And so those are the energies that are going to come in to help us with world peace. See what you see in those cards. What would your answer be? Let me know in the comments below what your answer would be. Okay, so something else that I do that links with color and crystals is that when I have my cards all kind of stacked out here, I have them all over the place in different areas in my room, and I used to keep them in silk bags and wrapped in silk. But these days what I do is I put a crystal on top, and I feel that crystal, it's almost like a doorkeeper. It's protecting the energy of the cards. I feel that it's cleansing the energy of the cards. And then the crystal, I am choosing that crystal not consciously. I'm just asking what crystal wants to go on which deck of cards at that time. So these cards want my big rose quartz crystal, so they need a little bit of love. And I don't have, enormous crystals on all the decks. On this deck, I have a little piece of citrine. So again, it's which crystals feel right for that particular deck in that moment. So I don't keep it to a routine. I just keep it to the routine of putting crystals on top of the cards. I don't have one particular crystal for one particular deck. It's nice to stay flexible with that. But when I'm looking at the meanings of the crystals, I relate the meanings of the crystals to color. So, you can look in books all about crystals, and we can get lots of information that come about the qualities and the meanings for crystals. But I link the meanings of crystals more to the vibration of the color that they are. So let's do one last little reading, and let me ask you which card you would like at this moment. If you'd like card 1, 2, or 3 for a message for right now. So what is it you need to know? What is it you need to know? Ask yourself that question. Focus on that question. And I'm going to take 3 cards, and then I'm going to read those cards. We're going to read those cards together. Okay, so let's see. Let me move them like this. So I'm going to take this card for number 1, this card for number 2. Let's take that one. That one's for number 3. Okay. So number one, let's see what your card is. So you get, it's the Four of Cups. In this particular deck it says anger, but it would usually be an overflowing of emotions. So number one, take a look at that card and see what most attracts you at this moment, and then ask yourself, what does that mean? What does that mean? How does that relate to my question? And then see what comes to you. So when I look at this, I see there's a lot of red in here, but I'm actually seeing more of a fuchsia color, more of a pink color in there. It's magenta, and magenta comes after violet. And to me, that is about rebuilding and change. So if we think of the color wheel, then it starts at red and then moves around and goes to violet, and then it comes back to red again. So that's what this is. There's a red energy that's in there. It's almost back to the beginning, but it's not quite there yet. So an answer to a question for me, that would say it's not quite there yet. It's still kind of, something's still shifting, and something new is about to start, but it hasn't, it's not quite at that place where it's ready to start. So just without knowing what your question is, because when you have a question, then you have something to focus on. But for me, when I'm looking at that, I'm seeing that kind of magenta color, and sometimes that is about putting all your ducks in a row as well, getting everything kind of organized and sorted out. And again, it's like rebuilding. It's putting all the bricks in the right place, because something's fallen down and now it's being rebuilt. So then number two, let's look at your card. Take a look at that. See if there's anything that you're most attracted to at this moment. If there's a color you're most attracted to, or an image. And then ask yourself, what does that mean? What does that mean? And then ask yourself, how does that have a relevance to my question? What does it mean in regards to my question? When you ask a question, then the answer can pop into your head, provided you have an empty blank space for it to come into. So it's a little bit like Google. You know, you put a question into Google and then millions of answers come up. So sometimes it's good to have a specific question, because then when you're focused on that question, you get a more focused answer. So when I'm looking at this, I kind of see the it was the planet. It's the Eight of Worlds, so there's going to be lots of planets in there, but I'm seeing this little orange one right there, and I'm feeling almost as if, you know, it's very small, so it's almost like it's not noticed, or it's not noticeable. It can't be seen amidst all the other ones, but it's slightly coming out. So I feel that if this was an answer to a question for me, the title of the card is called Change. I feel almost as if I am beginning to see something that I didn't notice before, and it's coming into view, and I'm realizing that is what I need to focus on. That is what I need to get everything else out of the way, all these other bits and pieces, I need to get those out of the way. I need to focus on that one thing, on that one planet, on that one goal, on the one mission. And then when I do that, I can get a path that will move me towards it. Orange in there is a color of creativity, and creativity can come up when you need a solution to a question. When you need the answer, but it needs to be a creative solution. So that orange energy helps you with that. So let's now see what we get for number three. So number three, your card, take a look at that. And again, what do you see? What are you most attracted to? And is there a color you're most attracted to as well? And then ask yourself, what does that mean? And then ask yourself, well, how does that relate to my question? So this is the Death card. So it's a major card. So you'll already have, probably preconceived ideas about what that means for you. When I look at this card, I actually see two things. The first one is this little tiny star up here. And then I see down here there's a reflection of white on the shroud. And I feel almost as if this little star reflecting on there, it's saying there is hope. And everything is a reflection of who you are. If you think something's dead, then it is. If you think something's transformed, then it is. And there is a sense of this, that there are reflections all around you. But I get this feeling that there is a light that is shining, and you may be focusing on something that's been lost, but this is saying there is a new light that's coming, and that new light is already shining, and it's reflecting off of you. You just have to see it. So it's a little bit like that second card again, of having a focus and seeing something for the first time. I feel that this is, with the stars, sometimes they're not going to come out until it's dark. You don't see them until it's dark. So this is something that you haven't been able to see until you go through that huge change, that huge shift, and then you see it. It's white, and white is a color of a new beginning, to me, because it's like a whiteboard. So you're wiping the slate clean. Sometimes for me, white is, cloudy skies, could be the snow. I often relate the colors to nature, things in nature, and to the elements as well. So this is a good way to understand color and a way to interpret it for yourself, because there's a whole host of colors in our natural environment, and you can interpret those colors, and that will help you to interpret the tarot deck as well. So I hope this has made sense for you. I hope it's helped you. Do check out my website, sealedwithlove.com, and subscribe to my love letter and grab your free color kit at bit.ly/color kit. Let me know below in the comments if this has helped you to read tarot cards maybe in a different way. You may be extremely experienced, and this may be something that's irritating for you, but it might not be. It might be something that really adds to your readings and just gives a different flavor, let's say, to a recipe that is already wonderful for you. Sending you lots of coloricious blessings. Bye.